The president is living in fear of reporters tonight, now more than ever. He is visibly afraid of being anywhere near reporters now. Since Donald Trump lied about President Obama tapping his phone during the presidential campaign, he has been afraid of having to answer reporters' questions about that. So in the few moments when reporters are allowed in the same room with the president, they are not allowed to ask any questions. And when some of them try to do that, the president remains abjectly afraid to speak. Donald Trump's new lie about President Obama is, of course, a violation of the president's oath of office. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer works for a president who violates his oath of office every day, and Sean Spicer knows that. Sean Spicer knows for a fact that Donald Trump does not faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States. He knows Donald Trump lies to the American people regularly. Sean Spicer knows that that kind of lying is not faithfully executing the office of the President of the United States. Sean Spicer's first day on the job was all it took to define him forever as the single worst, most incompetent, most untruthful White House press secretary in history. George Washington didn't have a press secretary. His definition of faithfully executing the office of President of the United States was answering the questions himself. The history of White House press secretaries begins in 1929 and in reality ended in January of 2017 when Sean Spicer took the title and the paycheck and he made a mockery of the job on the first day by lying about the least important thing ever argued about in a White House press briefing.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
Now, 50 days in, Sean Spicer has grown comfortable enough to openly laugh about the fact that the President of the United States is a pathological liar, a liar who cannot stop himself from lying in ways that are instantly provable as lies. Some in the White House press corps have redefined the standards of the presidency to a point so low that they, too, believe that the president's public and obvious lying is now a laughing matter. New windows into the president's lying open every day, often where we least expect it. The routine monthly disclosure of the jobs report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics has never before occasioned the exposure of the president as a pathological liar. Until today. Listen to this exchange in the White House press briefing room.
In the past, the president has referred to particular job reports as phony or totally fiction. Does the president believe that this jobs report was accurate and a fair way to measure the economy?
Yeah, I talked to the president prior to this, and he said, to quote him very clearly, "They may have been phony in the past, but it's very real now."
They may have been phony in the past, but it's very real now. Now, that's what the president actually told him to say. The Bureau of Labor Statistics used the same methods for today's calculation as they have for every previous employment calculation. It is impossible for those methods to have produced a real result today and never before. And everyone in that room today understands that logic, which is why everyone in that room today understood that what the president told Sean Spicer to say was ridiculous. And the room was then divided among those who thought the ridiculous was funny and those who thought the ridiculous was offensive, because it was an admission by the President of the United States that he had lied every other time he had mentioned the unemployment rate in the United States.
The jobs report is fiction because all of the people that gave up...
Total fiction? There's been improvements from the crash, obviously?
Honestly, I would say it's 90%. Don't believe those phony numbers when you hear 4.9 and 5% unemployment. The number's probably 28, 29, as high as 35. The 5% figure is one of the biggest hoaxes.
Today, the president found the time to retweet the Drudge Report's celebration of the increase of 235,000 jobs in February. Donald Trump and the Drudge Report did not celebrate an increase of an even larger number last February, 237,000 jobs, because Barack Obama was president. And the February before that, when the jobs number went even higher, 238,000 jobs, Donald Trump and the Drudge Report saw nothing to celebrate because Barack Obama was president. Sean Spicer wants you to laugh along with him that today is the first time that Donald Trump has not lied in reaction to a jobs report. An unnamed White House official has leaked to the Associated Press that the president learned about President Obama tapping his phone in an article posted in the purveyor of lies called Breitbart News, which Donald Trump's senior advisor, Steve Bannon, used to run. There is, of course, no reason to believe that, because there's no reason to believe anything sourced to a White House headed by a pathological liar and populated with the most incompetent White House staff in history. In his political life, Donald Trump knows he has gotten away with every lie he ever told, beginning with the first one, President Obama's birth. He knows the political media will always give up eventually and move on, because they always have. Sometimes he specifically has ordered them to move on, as in the case of President Obama's birth certificate, and they did. They obeyed. The rest of the time, he just waits them out, which is what he's doing right now tonight. He's waiting for this question to go away. Mr. President, any proof on the wiretapping? If he's lucky, that question will go away. If the American people are lucky, that question won't go away. America has had presidents who have lied. Some of them have told very big lies, but we have never had a pathological liar who is willing to lie about anything and everything, from the size of the crowd in front of him on Inauguration Day to criminal conduct by the previous president. The American news media has never been confronted by a challenge like this before. It is a historic challenge. It comes a year after the historic challenge the American news media failed, the challenge of covering a pathological liar as a presidential candidate. Vigilant patrol of the Trump administration lies has already yielded some important results, including the resignation of former Lieutenant General Michael Flynn as the president's national security advisor. We have now discovered Michael Flynn was a secret foreign agent lobbying for the Turkish government during the Trump campaign. The work he did would have been legal if he had registered as a foreign agent, which he did not. The failure to not register as a foreign agent could subject General Flynn to criminal prosecution. Apparently realizing that possibility, General Flynn has now retroactively filed a registration as a foreign agent this week. Michael Flynn has issued no apology yet to the crowds that he led in chants of "lock her up."
Lock her up. That's right. That's right. Lock her up.
Tough crowd. The lock her up crowd is a tough crowd. They're ready to lock people up, even when the FBI director tells them that no crime has been committed. The lock her up crowd has enough evidence tonight, by their standards, to want to lock up Michael Flynn. And so he owes them an apology for having so often publicly lied to them about his personal moral superiority over Hillary Clinton. But Trump world has never been good at apologies.
If there is no evidence that any wiretapping took place, will the president apologize to President Obama for making such a serious charge?
I think let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think it's important to see where that goes, and I don't want to prejudge their work at this time.
Will he apologize about the birth certificate? Donald Trump still hasn't apologized to President Obama for lying about his birth. He's not going to apologize. America knows that. The president's going to keep lying. America knows that too. And as the lies multiply upon themselves, the vigilance of the resistance to those lies and the contest of these 4 years, if Donald Trump remains in office, will be the contest between that resistance and the lies, between Trump lies and the truth. Today, the truth won twice. First of all, February jobs reports, almost as good as President Obama's February jobs report, was accepted by Republicans as a good jobs report. That is progress. That is a step toward the truth. And second, the lock her up crowd is going to have to find someone else to lead their chants now that Michael Flynn has gone silent and is surrounded by protective lawyers.